think it's kind of exciting that you have a brand new asset class.
How does Ayn Rand philosopher view the United States of America today? People waiting in gasoline lines, people fearing a possible recession, people wondering whether we will survive as a nation because of military posturing by other countries around the world. Tell me how you feel.
That's a pretty big statement right there. But first of all, to sum it up, I feel that this country is being destroyed by its philosophy, specifically by its universities. The most dangerous thing in this country today are the universities, because they're teaching the kind of ideas that would necessarily have to lead to the destruction of this country. I think that the American people is too good for that kind of program. You notice that the people are turning to the right. That's a very healthy sign, but there is no leadership on the right. There is no intellectual leadership. There are no ideas. And it's very possible that the people will be defeated for lack of proper intellectual leadership.
That's Ayn Rand, one of the digital asset guy's heroes. I think her philosophy and a lot of her ideas, her novels she wrote, were just brilliant. It took me a while, maybe a decade, to really understand. But I think she's just brilliant. That's her talking about exactly what we're experiencing now. You know, I went to a 4-year college, and a lot of the time I was kind of looking over my shoulder, wondering why am I here somewhere where they're basically anti-America, anti-capitalism. All they want to do is just complain and teach us America's no good, everybody else is better, you should not want to be successful, you should not care about yourself, we need to give everything away. I just felt like I was in crazy town when I was in college a lot of the time, and then getting in a lot of debt to go. And right now we're seeing colleges collapsing, literally. You can't argue it. People are trying to, but I've seen some of the biggest academics go on social media and just have meltdowns saying, my university cut my program or this or that, and it's all too low attendance. Why do we have low attendance? Because number one, it's too expensive. Number two, no one's using their degree to get the job that they set out. Everybody's doing something different. There's too much student debt. And then the good old C-19 to me was the nail in the coffin. I mean, you literally couldn't go to college and they wanted you to pay for it. Like, it really is silly when you think about it. But I think we're living exactly what she is describing. And I've always had this theory since the very beginning when I got into crypto. I remember when we set up our Ethereum miner and we were learning how to send it from the miner to the wallet, to a hardware wallet, to the exchange, learning about private keys. I remember thinking, this is really interesting because it gives us the power. It gives the power back to the people, and it really is something that the smart people are going to discover first. And I've always had this theory that if Ayn Rand was alive today, she would be the biggest crypto bull there was. And if you have a reason for why not, please put it down below, because I would love to hear your reasoning. Because I think that it stands for everything that she did. I think basically cryptocurrency is intellectual leadership, only it's decentralized. It was started by the leaders and then decentralized by the leaders. So that's all I'm going to say on that rant. And then look what else I found. Michael Saylor, biggest Bitcoin bull ever. I agree with him on a lot. Not everything. I don't think Bitcoin's the end-all, be-all. I think it's going to be around. But anyway, here's him speaking at the Atlas Society, giving an interesting speech. If I can get it to play.
Ayn Rand's stories are stories about the struggle of the individual against the collective and their gripping. And when I first read Atlas Shrugged, I couldn't put the book down. It became a 12 and then a 14 and then a 16-hour day exercise. Human nature doesn't change. That struggle existed 100,000 years ago. That struggle exists today. What does change is technology. 100,000 years ago, an enraged human being could maybe kill 10 other people. And today, an enraged human being can kill 100 million people. And so as technology advances, our thoughts about ethics and morality and technology and civility have to evolve. Today, we struggle with the challenge of authority. You know, Lord Acton said, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And the only difference between absolute power today and absolute power 10,000 years ago is today we have a company that listens to everything a billion people say. We have another company that answers the questions that 4 billion people ask. We have companies that deliver the food and all of the goods that you need to survive to hundreds of millions of people. We have one company that delivers all of the business software to 80 million corporations, indirectly serving billions and billions of employees.
I'm going to stop it there. You can go and listen to the rest of this. They have it on Fiat Archive. I'm going to listen to all of it later because I find it so interesting. I don't know if he even talks about, I think he later goes into Bitcoin. But what he's saying basically is, it's very interesting because it's like these giant companies that are in control of everything. It's almost like they're not companies like, I think where he's going is they're almost like government entities. And Ayn Rand spoke in some of these interviews in the 60s about how the free market will always reset things. If something's wrong, the free market will make it right. You know, they'll vote people out, they'll stop shopping somewhere. But the problem is we're starting to get some of these big tech companies where they're almost like government entities, and the government kind of helps them. The government picks winners and losers, kind of like the old SEC versus Ripple lawsuit, only the SEC got their butts kicked, thank God. But I just think it was, I never knew that he was into this until I just found this video after doing some research on Ayn Rand. And that's just crazy how he says he was reading Atlas Shrugged 16 hours a day. The digital asset guy was not. However, he was listening to the audiobook in his car after college when he was a substitute teacher driving all over the city for like $50 a day before tax, $50 a day. And that was that actually was not the toughest time in my life. Maybe financially, but I learned a lot then. I had much tougher times after I got in crypto. But anyway, the digital asset guy, for whatever reason, I do not read well. I never have. Since I was a little kid in elementary school, I had major problems and got in trouble, and adults were always seeming upset because I didn't want to sit and read a book. Folks, I have never read a book in my life. I'm telling you, it's like a joke. I start reading, and then I get like a paragraph down, and I start thinking about something else. And then I'll read like this for an hour, and then wake up and be like, I haven't been reading at all. I'll start thinking about what I'm reading about. It's like a joke. I can't do it. Anyway, I listen to audiobooks, and that's why when I found YouTube University and got into crypto, I said, hey, I can learn about this from real people talking on YouTube and showing what they mean. So that's why YouTube has been such, I wouldn't even call it a tool. It's been like a lifestyle for me. And I should have started making my own YouTube videos earlier, but I just had limiting beliefs. But anyway, that's a cool video. I'm going to watch the rest of it soon. Here is iTrust Capital, the digital asset guy's favorite place to buy, sell, hold cryptocurrencies and precious metals. You can hold it inside of an IRA or not in an IRA, a premium custody account. All the accounts, to my knowledge, have only a 1% trading fee. It's the lowest in the industry. Here is CoinMarketCap. It would appear that we're getting out of this bear market, but not so fast. The digital asset guy has been in 2, arguably 3 bear markets. And there's a lot of sucker rallies, and it seems like we have to knock on the door 2, 3, 4 times on every level almost down here before we get through it. Wouldn't surprise me to see us hang around here almost knocking on 80,000's door on Bitcoin and then get knocked back down and come back to 68,000. You know, wouldn't surprise me if we had our really bad news like I was talking about yesterday and we even set another low. Who knows? But right now, we're just kind of knocking on the door. But if you look at some of these altcoins, Cardano's still at a quarter. Remember, I predicted that back in December, or maybe November. I said digital asset guys looking for a 25-cent Cardano. I wanted to see Stellar come under 10 cents, but we didn't get it. And then I wanted to see VeChain come under a penny. We have been well under a penny, and the digital asset guy has backed up the truck, in the words of Digital Asset Investor. Nothing I say on these videos are financial or investment advice, just my own personal thoughts, opinions, philosophies, feelings, things like that for entertainment and educational purposes only. I've got to move kind of quick because I have to interview someone very soon. Got some more interesting interviews coming out. Today, I enjoyed this, that my second father, mentor, hero, digital asset investor posted. It says, XRP is a national security, and Ripple CEO on the future of institutional crypto. Is that this one? Well, anyway, posted this video, and he talks about it at the beginning.
Hey, everybody. This is the digital asset investor, and before we get going, I wanted to play you this clip. This is from XRP Las Vegas last year. It's one of my favorite moments from XRP Las Vegas last year from Sal Gilberti, who's with Tucrium, the ETF company, and he'll be there again this year.
Again, the questions we get from investors is, when's the price going to go up? That's what everybody wants to know. Yeah. Well, the only way that we can figure that out, and we have a 22-page paper that's not public yet. I got to figure out how to do that our analyst did. And he went over all the legitimate pricing models for XRP. And again, it came to between $5 and $4,300, depending on your timing and your use case. For me, it's supply, demand, and velocity. So if it takes 5 seconds to settle a transaction, how many XRP did that use? Can you really do it 12 times a minute? Can you really do that 24 hours a day? So how much XRP do you really need? Those are all basic questions that need to be answered for the velocity models. And that'll happen over time. We are literally still in a nascent industry. We're all sitting here. This is going to get bigger every single year. But the usage of XRP, the use case of the Ripple ledger is, I think, probably exploding from what you're talking about here. All of that is going to help. And then as arbitrageurs come in to get rid of those price differentials so that things can trade more easily, it's just going to take time, but it's going to happen. And things happen, little things like taking advantage of money, that happens faster than you think. When people want to make money, that happens faster than you think. When you're trying to change an entire infrastructure and a way of doing business, which is what we're talking about here, ultimately, that happens slower than you think. So give it time, but
That's right.
All right, so that is very exciting. XRP Las Vegas is coming up. Here's the page. 7 days, wow. I'm really excited, but when you see these heavy hitters on the stage, it's just a little different. And then when you see them walking around on the floor and you walk right up to them and talk to them like the digital asset guy does, it's even cooler. And you know, sometimes you'll hear things in a face-to-face conversation you might not hear on the internet. And then when you go to the after party and maybe have a couple drinks and everybody's having a good time, you never know what you're going to hear. And I heard some things that, I'll just say I heard some things last year that gave me a little leg up on things and made this last bull run easier to navigate in a lot of ways. And meeting people like the blockchain backer, it just made it real and even better, and just put a person with that internet personality that I see behind the screen. So I suggest everyone go. It'll be at the Paris Casino, which I've stayed at before. Great place. And to be honest, I think ticket sales are going to be down just because the market's down, and for some reason people equate that with whether they want to go to the conference or not. But I think if ticket sales are down, that'll just be an opportunity to be in the room with fewer people and the heavy hitters. Never know who you're going to run into. And at the after parties, maybe with less people, Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Alderati and some of those guys might show up and walk around. Never know. I don't know, though. I think they might be a safety issue with those guys. But I'm really excited, even if there's not as many people there. And I just can't wait. Well, speaking of that, I've got to interview somebody in the community now, so I've got to run. Thank you so much for listening. Please comment below your thoughts on Ayn Rand and what she said and her philosophy. Tell me what you think about Michael Saylor speaking at the Atlas Society Gala. And let me know what you think about the market as well. Do you think we're just going to grind up out of here into the new bull run, or do you think we have some things to do first? I'd like to hear. I'm going to post a link below to I Trust Capital as always. Thank you so much for watching. Digital Asset Guy out.